What's up, Hydra fam? So we just got in this home gym piece. It's been receiving a ton of hype lately. It is the Major Fitness B52 Pro Smith machine. It's also kind of a functional trainer. And in this video, what we're gonna do is shoot a tutorial showing you how to build this from the ground up. It is a hefty piece with a ton of parts, can be tricky in some areas, so we're gonna give you some tips. And after we build it, we're gonna try it, test it, and then make a review video, which we'll shoot a whole lot later that you can check out, just in case you're wondering whether or not it's worth the purchase. So what do you guys say we get into this and start building it? All right, so we got all the boxes open. They are labeled 1 to 4, which is really, really nice. And what you'll notice in each box is that they have a parts list. So if you pull that out, that'll be very, very helpful. And the manual is actually found in box number 1 with all the long uprights. Looks like this. And one thing that we recommend is some of you guys might feel tempted to take all the parts out and have them on the floor, and then as you go through the manual, you're just trying to hunt and find for them. We don't recommend doing that. Instead, we recommend that you keep all the parts in their particular box, or if you are going to take them out, keep them in a general area with the parts list with it, so that way when you're building it, you know exactly where to go for that particular part as you need it as you go, if that makes sense. So definitely want to do that. In box number 3, we find that they do provide tools, these 2 wrenches. It probably is better that you guys have your own wrenches a little longer, just for more torque, which would be nice. And we have some tools here that will help your job go a whole lot quicker. You're going to need a rubber mallet. That way you're not damaging the machine. Adjustable wrench will come in handy. I like these ratchets with a 14 millimeter hex socket, 14 millimeter wrench, and a power drill. This will help you go a whole lot faster too. But with this in mind, we suggest that before you tighten anything, just hand tighten them, because as you're putting the parts together, if they're loosely put, in the end, when all the pieces are on, you can then tighten it and it'll fit a whole lot more perfectly. If you tighten it initially, it might be harder throughout the process to get everything on. Just hand tighten everything at first and you should be good to go. Here are all the bolts that you need, and they're pretty much all the same, so you don't need a whole lot of variety of tools. And with that being said, we are gonna place the machine at that far wall over there. Can you show the direction? That's where we're gonna fit it, and it was roughly, let me see here, with 78 inches wide. So you are gonna need a good amount of space to work around. So make sure you have a ton of space around your boxes, around your parts, so that way you have a lot of area to work with. So let's get to it. We're gonna set the first frame pieces right over there. All right, so we got the 2 uprights here and the crossbar connecting them. You are gonna need the long hex bolts with washers, and we're gonna slip them through on the opposite side here into the crossbar. And once we got them through to the other side, that's when you want to put your other washer and your hex nut. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So one thing I forgot to mention, part of the tool set is a hex key, and that's actually used for this part of the assembly with assembling the foot plate. So you're gonna use that hex key to get this button head hex bolt out. I've already loosened it up actually, so we can take that out with its washer, and then take the axle out, save that for later. And this plate is actually gonna go right here on the machine. But before we do that, we are gonna put this part on, and that goes right here. And we are gonna be using these hex bolts. There are 3 different sizes to these bolts. You can refer to the manual for which one you need in particular when assembling the piece. I'm not gonna mention the sizes, just assume I have the right sizes. But these are gonna go under the frame and through all the way to the top, through that part we placed on the frame. So putting that through. Careful with your fingers. I have to hold this so that way I could put the washer and the nut on top. Then I'm gonna do it to the rear one. A washer, a nut, and that's on there. Now, there's this part that goes on the foot plate in between these frame pieces right here, and that's gonna be held on by these smaller with washers hex bolts. So slip the bolt in. We're gonna put another washer on the other side and then a nut at the end of it. And then we do the same thing over here. Washer and a nut, and that'll secure that onto the foot plate. Now that we got that on, this is what's actually gonna sit in this plate right here that stops it. And then we're gonna hold it like this over these holes and slip the axle all the way through. Just like so. And then last, we're gonna put that button head screw on the other side and secure it in place. All right, so the next part that we're gonna assemble is the gun barrel, and this goes on the end of the frame on the left side of the machine, and you're gonna need a hex bolt with a washer, and they're the small ones, and they pretty simple, just go on either end. And make sure that when you're assembling this part that the gun barrel, the knob is facing in and not facing out when you're holding it up like this. All right, next is putting up the uprights. You wanna make sure that this U-shape is facing in, this part facing out with the warning sticker facing out. And where this is gonna go is actually at the very back of the frame. Now, you might wanna have two people to help you out on this. I just have this propped up to help me since I'm doing it single-handedly. You're gonna be putting hex bolts underneath with washers, slipping it all the way through, and I'm just gonna hold this here with my foot. And then you're gonna wanna put another washer on top with a nut. Same thing goes for the backside over here. All right, so we got the two uprights, one here, one on the other end. Now it's time to put the support bar, which just goes right here, connecting the upright to the middle of the frame. Get your appropriate sized hex bolts with the washer, and they go from the bottom all the way up, washer on top, nut on top. The same thing goes for the back end, and there's a different sized hex bolt with a washer that goes on from this end all the way through to this side. And then a washer and another nut. And you want to do the same thing on the bottom right here. Next set of uprights going on, they're only two big holes away from the back end uprights. This is the ones with the pulley, and you want to make sure that this is facing out, not in. And we're going to put hex bolt from the bottom again, same process like the previous one, going all the way up, washer on top with the nut on top as well. Same thing right here. All right, so we got all four of those uprights on. Now it's time for the fifth and sixth one, and you want to keep in mind that with this particular one, the numbers are on the right side. You can see right here, that's 15. And with the sixth one that goes here, the numbers are gonna be on the left side. You are gonna be connecting this via these plates right here. And it's just gonna go on just like that. We'll stabilize the camera so you can see how we bolt it in. But that is the very next step. All right, so we're about to put on the carriages on those uprights. And one thing you want to keep in mind is with these carriages, when you attach this assembly piece to the carriage itself, they need to be facing up, not down, up. And the knobs on the carriage on the left side needs to be facing in, not to the left, but to the right. And then the carriage that's on the right side of the machine, the knob is facing to the left, not to the right or in. All right, we're putting the carriage on now onto the upright, and it just slides right over. You want to pull that pin, that pop pin, and then you can lock it in place. One thing you want to keep note of is when you're tightening this bolt, you don't want to tighten it too tight, otherwise this part of the frame will bend in, and then this won't have some play or free-flowing movement right here. So it's okay if it's a little, if it's got a little give, if it's a little loose, that way this can spin freely. All right, so we're at the part where we're gonna put on the two pieces that go on top of the uprights. They have two slots, one here, one down here where the pulleys go. And one thing to keep in mind is that when you put on the left side top piece, the nuts are gonna be facing in the machine, and these little screws right here are gonna be facing in the machine as well. And again, that goes on the left side. So to pull on the pulleys, you're gonna have a hex bolt, washer, and then a spacer. That's the order. Put the pulley in, slide that through. The washer, or the spacer I should say, is gonna go inside the hole. So on this side, spacer in the hole. On the other side, the spacer's in the hole. Washer, then nut. And something you want to definitely pay attention to is the position of the pulley. When you tighten this, you don't want to tighten it too tight, but just tight enough to where this could have a good free-flowing spin. And you want to make sure that this pulley is straight with the pulley down here. Because if it's at a curve or an angle, that could wear out your cable when you slide that in throughout the whole machine. So if this is straight with this pulley down here, that cable will just flow smoothly and not be worn out too quickly. So we are now gonna put the top piece on the uprights like so. It's gonna slide into this slot right here and rest on these two. The nuts should be facing inside the machine, and these screws, that's an indicator that you got it right. And then we are going to put on this plate right here and this plate, which actually holds the bar later on. So we're gonna show you how to put that on right now. All right, so we're about to put the pull-up bar right here across the machine to attach to the frame. And one thing that we found that was quite interesting that they did is in the manual, they don't label this plate right here. It's a different plate than the one we put on. These plates on this frame are different from these, and these were actually attached to the pull-up bar in the packaging. These are part AB. Those that we just installed are AD, so please keep that in mind. They are different, and if you have trouble finding them, they may be attached to that pull-up bar that we're about to install. These plates actually go on the opposite sides right here, as the pull-up bar goes right here across. So you'll see us install that. It's practically the same as everything else. The hex bolts go in from the opposite side with the nut facing inward always. And same process. All right, moving on, we are now attaching the back beam or crossbar right about here. and they have these plates that go on the other side of the upright, right here on this side and right here on this side. And what's going to go into this crossbar in these holes are these hook screws, and there's 4 of them with a nut, and then long hex screws that bolt in from this direction on either side. So we'll show you how to do that right now. Simple attachments on either side, right here. Hex bolt in, all the way to the other side. Washer and nut. Now with the top plate weight, you have this rod here, and this slips in right through the middle hole, and that very top hole you want to align with this hole right here. And there's this little pin that you want to slip here, and it doesn't go right through. You're going to need a rubber mallet, or what I'm going to do, because it is quite difficult to get on there, is cover this with a rag and then use a metal hammer to really jam it in. And you want to get this all the way through to where it's flush. So now that the rod is inside the plate weight and the pin inside is flush, we have this part that goes up here. You just screw it in all the way. And then over that, you want to put in this pin, and it's going to slide all the way down. Last is putting on the pulley on top. And with the pulley on top, we do want to spin this all the way, and we want this pulley to be parallel. So looking like right about here, parallel. And in order to get it to be parallel and tightened, you have to adjust these nuts that are on the screws. So we want to bring this all the way down, and you can just adjust these with a adjustable wrench or regular wrench just to get it parallel. You might have to loosen some, the bottom or the top, but regardless, you do want this tight so this doesn't move, and then that way the cord or the cable that runs through smoothly. Up next is guide rods, and pretty easy. You got these pads right here that go on the bottom of these holes, and then slipping the guide rods through those holes. And what you want to do is actually lean the guide rods out, just like that, leaning out. That way, when you start putting on the weights, you just slide them on in all the way to the bottom. Don't worry about these bending. You just don't want to leave it like that way too long, but that's the next step. All right, so we put on the top plates, and I just want to mention real quick that in the instruction manual, it does show this hole on the top plate being opposite of the one on the right side. So this is the left weight stack, and this is the right weight stack. So you see the hole is more towards the back. Here, the hole is towards the front of the machine, not the back. I don't think it really matters, but who knows, that might be significant. But I think it's just to hold the pin, and that's pretty much it. If you have attachments, an attachment might go there, and I'm not sure if that attachment might interfere with anything else. So it doesn't really seem like it matters, but just want to make note of that for you guys. All right, all the weights are on. So now what you want to do is slip these guide rods in these slots, but we want to take out these bolts because we want to align this guide rod hole with this hole. So if I line this, slip it through, align that hole, then I could put this bolt in, and I want to slide it all the way through that hole to the back end. So I'm gonna screw it in all the way. Then with your Allen key, you want to tighten it just a little bit, not too much. And that's gonna hit against the back end of this guide rod, tightening it up. All right, so now we're at the part where we're assembling the adjustment plate for the barbell. That's this plate right here with the ridges. And something that we noticed in the instruction manual was a small mistake they made. I want to point it out for you guys just in case you get to this point and you get confused. The hex bolts that they use to nail these plates into the machine, it shows as number 1, which is a 90mm hex bolt. It is not actually the 90mm hex bolts that you use. It is this one up here, a number 3, which is a 70mm hex bolt. How we came to that conclusion was we actually, by this point, we don't have any more of the 90mm. All we have left are the 70mm. So we safely assume that it's actually the 70mm bolt that you need to use to nail those plates in. So keep that in mind. Hopefully this helps you guys out with assembling the rest of your piece. Going on to stickering the weight stacks, a little tip that we have for you guys is start stickering them from the bottom and work your way to the top instead of top to bottom. Because let's say you start top to bottom and you don't have all the weight stacks in there, you miscounted and you're missing some. You're gonna reach, let's say you start stickering and the very bottom weight is 150. So you're missing 2 weights down here. You're gonna have to remove all these weight stacks just to put 2 down there and then sticker those 2. That's if you start from top to bottom. If you start from bottom to top and sticker these from 170 all the way up to 10, and let's say you're missing the 2 weight stacks here and you only make it to 40, then all you need to do is take this top plate weight off, put 2 weight stacks in, put the top weight plate back on, and then sticker the rest. And that is way less work, way less effort than doing it the other way. So hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below. Moving on to installing the rod to your Smith machine. This is actually different from your guide rods to the weight stack. This rod to your Smith machine is heavier and thicker. It's also longer, and it goes in right through here. And there's an order of these parts that go on. So it goes on just like this. The spotter all the way at the bottom, the spring next, the pad, and then the sleeve. And then when you're installing this, at the very top is a screw hole. I'll show you right here. So there's a screw hole at the very top of this rod. On the bottom of this rod is not a screw hole, so that's how you know that seats in a little hole down here. And so when you slide it in, there's another hole at the very top, and there's a hex bolt with a washer that goes in, and you're going to screw that in. Make sure you hold the rod as you're screwing it in, otherwise the rod's gonna spin and then you won't be able to really pin it in there. So that's how you install this rod. With the barbell, you have a hex bolt here that you're gonna remove. And once you remove that, might be a little difficult, but got it loosened. You're gonna slide on a sleeve, and there's a certain position that you have to put that sleeve. So this comes out with the washer. This piece comes off. then you got the sleeve here. This longer piece of the sleeve is going to be facing out on either side. So on the left side, it's going to be slipped in like this. On the right side of the barbell, it's going to be slipped in like this. So longer side, always facing outward on either end. Then you slip this guy back in, and then you could place the washer and the hex bolt back in and tighten it up. Now we got the barbell on the hook, and what you'll want to do next is attach this flange piece to this sleeve, line it up, and you'll want to make sure that this sleeve, the flange, is facing outward and this piece is inside the machine or facing inward when you align it. Now the instructions show that the hex bolt goes in from the outside in with the nut inside the machine. But what we found was that in their instruction video, it showed that the hex bolt comes in from this angle, or this side, from inside the machine out, and then you put the washer and the nut. And this is actually the proper way of doing it, because when you try to hang the barbell at the very top, this part of the barbell needs to be able to turn all the way here so you can latch it to the top. And we'll show you guys a video of that. But if you have the nut on this side, that's going to prevent this part of the barbell from moving all the way to the right. It just prevents it, it stops it, and then you can't hang it at the top hook. So make sure that both of these bolts here and here, the hex bolt comes in from the inside of the machine. Now's the time to set up the cable throughout the whole machine, and what we did here was we stretched out the whole cable, put weights on either end, because when cables are in the packaging, they're all wrapped up and they can adapt to that shape. So if you install it while it's still curved and rounded into the machine right after you open it, that could cause a problem with it traveling through those pulleys evenly. So what you'll want to do is lay them out at least for 24 hours, straighten like this. That way they can relax, become straight, and then when you put it through the machine, as you're pulling on the cables, it should flow pretty smooth. All right, we're almost at the very last step. We're going to attach now the cables. I'm going to show you how to wrap it all the way through, and some things that may help you guys out is having a small zip tie, passing it through here and wrapping it like this. I'll explain why later. And having some needle nose pliers. You may not need them, but it helped us out with getting the wrapping all the way through. So again, you'll see that as I pass it through when we get to that point. So starting with this end, we are going to pass it through the pulleys here, in between them. And you want to make sure that this cable goes in the pulleys, seated in the pulleys as you're wrapping it all around. So it's going to go up through here, over the pulley on top, and it's going to come all the way over here, down over this pulley, I'm making sure that the cable's seated on the pulley, and then it's going to pass down through the middle. And at this point, it's going to go under here, but you're going to notice that you can't fit it underneath here because you have to disassemble this pulley, wrap it underneath, and then assemble it. So I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll continue off of that. All right, now that we got it through, making sure that it's seated again inside the pulley, not outside, we're gonna bring it up here It's gonna go in through this hole over this pulley here. You may have to twist it to get it through. There we go. And it's gonna pass through over both these pulleys. It's gonna pass through here to the other side. And where the tension point is getting it out from under here. So that's why I attached the zip tie. That way it has a little extra length, and we're gonna use our needle nose pliers to pull on that zip tie and bring it out from under here. So one thing I want to quickly mention about installing the cable over this particular pulley, an issue you might find is that when you pass that cable through, it may go over this bolt and pass through over here and then here, and then you pull it out. Make sure that the cable does not pass over this bolt. You want it to go actually over this pulley and in between here and then out. So under this bolt that goes through the frame. Otherwise, if you catch that pulley or you catch that cable over this bolt and out and you install it that way, when you pull on that cable, it's gonna be very, very rough and it's gonna wear this cable out a whole lot quicker. It's not meant to go over that. So just a little note, keep that in mind, and maybe get a flashlight, look under there, and you'll be able to install this properly. All right, so after pushing the cable in and out just to get this zip tie in a place where I can reach it, I managed to be able to reach with the needle nose pliers, grab the zip tie and pull it to this point. Now I can grab the rest of it and pull that cable down and then grab it. So now at this point, we're gonna bring it down all the way. And what we're gonna do now is bring it underneath this pulley and pass it through. All right, so we're at this point of the installation. We have to install a pulley in here. So what we wanna do is make sure that when we're installing the pulley, I'll start by putting it here, putting the spacer, washer, and hex bolt there. And then I'm gonna pass the cable right underneath it while trying to hold it in place. Or I could actually do this. And then seat that right underneath that pulley. Then I can install the other spacer, washer, and nut here to hold it tight. We'll tighten that up later, pass this underneath the pulley, and then it's gonna travel upward. All the way up to right about this hole. And we're gonna cut this off and bolt that in. So a little trick that you can do so you don't have to pull this all the way up here is move this carriage a whole lot lower to the bottom. That way you can just pin this in with ease. Right now, I just happen to have the carriage up here, and I'm gonna bolt this in right now. I had to pull it all the way up, put the hex bolt with the washer through, and the nut is gonna be on the inside of the machine. So nut on the inside, screw that in, just like so. And we're gonna tighten all those bolts that we just put in. All right, last but not least is the decal. And this just hangs up at the back of the machine with 2 hex bolts on either end of the decal, nut on the inside. And then after the decal is, I'm gonna get my step stool here, putting on the guards that go over the pulleys. That way it just protects the cable. And what you're gonna do is just uninstall the nut and washer here and then put the guard and then just re-tighten that back up. That is the same here and towards the front, right here. And so again, the washer and nut should already have been installed, so you're gonna have to uninstall that, put the guard, and then tighten that back up. And that's on either side of the machine. All right, I know I said last but not least, as in that was the last step, but there's actually one more step we recommend that you guys do. And that is to lubricate all the guide rods to your machine. When you get this machine, all these rods, the 2 rods going into your weight stack and the rod to your barbell, they're gonna come in pretty dry. And if you have them on the floor, it might get dust and debris on top of them. So you'll wanna go out, get some lubricant and lube them up. Some of you might have treadmills and are thinking, oh, I could use treadmill lubricant on these guide rods. Do not do that. That is 100% silicone, and what 100% silicone does is it actually attracts dust, hair, debris over time to these rods. And what that's gonna do is just cause more friction as you're using the machine to the rods, and that's gonna wear them out a whole lot quicker. And it's just gonna be an unpleasant workout, pulling those handles and feeling very jagged or rigid as you're pulling. So if you guys want some lubricant, we actually provide some on our website, hydrofitnessexchange.com. This lube is specifically for functional trainers, so you apply this to guide rods. And what we sell is this in a pack. I think we sell these individually as well, but in our pack, it comes with this convenient handle that has a sponge inside, and all you need to do is apply some of this lube to that sponge and then press that handle to the guide rod itself and move it up and down, and that'll apply all the lubricant all across the guide rod. So very convenient, prevents messiness. You know, most people, they'll put some of this lube on a rag or on a paper towel and then grab the paper towel and with their hand wipe it up and down the rod. And you might get lube on your hands or lube spilling everywhere because of that if you overdo it. But our pack is very, very convenient. So if you guys want this, you can check it out on our website, or you can click the link down below in the description. I will put it there, so that way you guys can get this as soon as possible with your B52 Pro Smith machine. So there you have it, guys. That is how to build the Major Fitness B52 Pro Smith machine. Now, like I said earlier, we are gonna come out with a review video a little later after testing this bad boy out and seeing its strengths, its weaknesses. We're gonna be talking about that, things that we like, things that we don't like. So be prepared for that. Now, if you like this video, please leave us a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content like this in the near future. We'll see you guys in the next one.